Hey, welcome to the show. I'm Yanni Rude.
And I'm just Terrell. You ever been out somewhere and overheard two people having crazy conversations?
Yeah, well, we are those people. We've been having these conversations since college.
Yep, it's the Regular Guys Random Thoughts podcast. Never Ever Met, Season 2, Episode 9 recap. Be sure to like, subscribe, rate, and leave a review.
Yeah. Now, I know, by the way, shout out to everybody who's checking in early, like YouTube channel member Miss Senator. Happy Sunday, everyone. YouTube channel member Karen. Hey, guys. Sunday fun day. Indeed. She likes to tweet, says Sunday fun day, and I'm set for this one.
Sat.
And Kay the Canary Diamond says, good evening, gentlemen. Thank you. And chat, happy Sunday. And I know game 2 of the NBA Finals is, they're about to tip off, right? But if we learned anything from game 1, the first 47 minutes don't matter.
Anything we've learned about Indiana in the playoffs. Watch that third and fourth quarter. Doesn't matter.
That's
If
it.
they're down
You
by
don't even
20,
need the first half.
they're going to come back and win.
The first half is like preseason. No need to really watch it. You
Right.
can if you want to, but okay. Hey, a lot to get to in this one, man. We're whittling down because you think of where we left off on the last one. It was a big blow up with Brittany and Ty, and of course they're going to pick up right there, right? And we got so much to get to. We're just going to get straight to it right now because Brittany and Ty, we pick up right where we left off. And Brittany is now talking to Jay and Cinco, Alexis and Chris about why Ty was so wrong for saying no at the table. Does it make sense to you this week? Because last week it made no sense to anybody.
What she said this time doesn't make any sense. She tried to say that she was trying to protect his feelings so she lied and said, yes, they would, but felt like he didn't protect her. I'm thinking, where are you getting this from? I mean, she just really seems delusional.
Yeah, she really is. I do notice, though, that as she's doing all of this, Jay decides to go, is that gasoline? Match. Because she asks if Brittany doesn't think, like, hey, you don't think Ty feels disrespected the way you're flirting with all the men in the house?
What? I'm not. I'm just being me. What are you talking about right now? Now I'm telling you, Jay and Cinco are freaking Navy SEALs of this reality show stuff. If you want someone gone, tell Jay and Cinco because they're gonna make it happen. They're gonna bring it all up. This was great to see Jay go at Brittany because she's been acting crazy this whole time and acting like she likes Ty when she doesn't. She's not showing any interest in this man.
What do you think of Brittany's explanation? But just because you don't see me doing stuff for Ty doesn't mean I'm not doing it.
Okay, I heard that, and I thought to myself, y'all live in too tight of quarters. You're in the same house.
Yeah.
If I don't see anything, there's nothing there. You're in
Right.
the same house. So stop it. You don't like the man. You've not done anything for him. And it's okay to say that. It's okay to say I'm not feeling him.
Mm-hmm.
What's wrong with that?
Because everybody else can see it. And here's the thing. You get to see what's about to happen here because Brittany then starts to question the maturity of the group.
Not only the maturity, the intellect of the group. See, remember I told you about braids?
Yeah.
So,
damn.
this is what I'm talking about.
Oh, snap.
Anyone that tries to say a whole group of people are ignorant beneath her, that person's the worst person. That's what Brittany did. She tried to make it sound like she was, high and mighty. She's not all that intellectual than them. And I just thought that was laughable. That whole thing was laughable to me.
It's interesting because we get to that part, especially too, because Alexis jumps in and says, hey, I don't think Ty wants, food and all this. Actually, what he wants is, some hugs and kisses. He wants some attention. And then Jay jumps in and goes, he wants you to tickle him like you tickle everybody else.
Yeah, like you tickle all these other men in here. See? Now, here's the difference. Jay also has braids, but Jay makes sense in what she's saying.
Which is what Monica's saying. Don't go there, Terrell. All braids aren't the same.
That was a total joke. That total joke about the braids thing. But Jay has braids. Jay makes sense.
Yeah.
Brittany, she's loosening those up because her stuff makes no sense. But I thought Jay was right. Why don't you go around and tickle everyone else like you tickle him? Or tickle him like you've been tickling everybody else. And she's acting like, I didn't tickle anybody.
That's when Cinco finally chimes in. You tickle me.
Yeah, that's when she got help from her tag team partner.
Tag me in.
You did tickle me though. You did.
Oh, yo, what's interesting is you think that's it. Then all of a sudden, Jay goes off and says, "Hey, you know, you're coming off like a promiscuous whore on TV." To which then Brittany decides to break out her Webster's Dictionary and Thesaurus and go, "Do you even know what that means?"
Right. Now, go ahead.
Because her justification of this is, "You gonna call me this, but you were in the shower on the first night." Actually, she said bent over in the shower on the first night, but you know, I mean, this is her exact words.
Okay.
But in the thing, when she asks, Brittany says to Jay, "Well, do you even know what it means?" And she goes, "Yeah."
You. I love that. You know what that means? Yeah, you.
Okay.
If I look in the dictionary for promiscuous, I'm gonna just see you.
To be fair, I looked up promiscuous, right? Just for the definition, just for Brittany's sake. Because we got to take all angles here, right?
Yeah.
I did not see her picture there, okay? Non Navarre says, "Jay ignorant also, promiscuous is not the correct word." True, because promiscuous is having lots of different sexual partners or sexual relationships or of sexual habits involving lots of different partners. Now, if tickling is a sexual habit, then yes, Brittany's promiscuous.
Goodness, I guess I'm promiscuous. Everybody's promiscuous.
That's what I'm saying. So is tickling a sexual habit?
No, it's not. That's not a part of my foreplay regimen. Is okay, first I'm gonna kiss her on the neck.
Yeah.
Then I'm gonna tickle her. That's when I go to second base.
Oh my God. This is when Brittany's like, "Look, I refuse to have ignorant conversations." And Ty walks in the kitchen, Brittany leaves, and Ty's like, "Look, hey, by the way, Elson says, let's define tickle."
Tickle what? I mean,
Tickle who? Tickle what?
Gucci goo.
Tickle who?
It's different than.
Ty goes, "Hey, this is just like Brittany. Anytime it gets hot, she runs out of the kitchen, right?" That's basically it. Now, Alexis, no harm here, because she's just trying to go, "Look, you know what? Maybe y'all just talk it out in the morning." And Ty loses it because he's like, "I'm done."
Yeah. And sometimes you are. Sometimes you are done after a couple arguments. Like, you know what? This is not worth it. I'm done.
Yeah.
They're not all that invested. There's nothing romantically happening. You can easily walk away from this.
Yeah. By the way, before we get away from all of this, I see it coming up here in the chat. Monica says, "Is two men in the same day a good example of promiscuous?"
Of what? Tickling two men in the same day? Is that promiscuous?
I don't think it was tickling.
Now, sleeping with two men in the same day. Clarifying question: at the same time, or
Well,
different?
you remember
times?
this came from the game in the 24-hour period.
Right? Yeah.
Elson says Ty was witness to her touching the other men. Exactly. She did that in front of him.
Yeah.
And he didn't say anything in the moment, but he saw it and kind of he was making, you can see him making those mental notes as they're showing the proof. And shout out to the producers, because every time she said something and they said something and she tried to deny it, Brittany tried to deny it, pow, there goes the video. I'm still mad at them, and we'll get to that later because they didn't do it when they needed to later on, right? But here's the thing. Before we get to the next day, Brittany has the nerve to tell us in her confessional that the whole situation is beneath her.
Yeah.
And then she even has the nerve to say, unless Ty has something amazing to say to keep her to stay, she's leaving.
And this is what the intellectual Brittany says. Unless Ty has something to say to keep me to stay. It's like, was she on the same plantation that Chris just got off of?
No, you did not just do that. No, you did not just do that.
I did.
Rewind. Take it back. Take it back.
If you gonna keep me to stay. I know Master Good People gives me good food, gives me good sleeps. If you gonna keep me to stay, you gotta say something.
Oh my God, stop. Toya says Brittany takes zero accountability. Absolutely. And we get to that because the next morning, Brittany, you notice she has to go get Ty because he's just like, I'm not even bothering here, right?
Yeah.
She goes to get him for the conversation. And as she sits down, she says, this is so hard for me. And then she tells Ty the obvious, I don't think this is working.
Ty's like, bet.
That's what he should have done.
Yeah,
for real.
Like, I agree. Just walk away.
But, it gets worse because this is when Brittany goes, hey, I was getting ganged up on in the kitchen. And if you truly cared about me, Ty, if you truly cared about me, you would have defended me, stood up for me.
Ty should have told her, I stopped caring about you after I made you crab legs and you wouldn't put your tongue in my mouth. I knew where I stood at that point. So, no, you're on your own.
To be fair, one, I would have thanked you for not doing that, Brittany, because after the crabs, it's probably funky breath. Okay, good.
You got good hygiene. No, not so much. You already have halitosis before you eat crab legs. The crab legs and butter is not going to make it better.
I like how Ty goes back to what he said to her in the moment, and she just amplified it. And this is where, luckily, Ty is an older man. He's not one of these YNs. Because when he told her, don't put your finger in my face, and she kept doing it, the YNs would react a little differently, right?
Right.
And he said, look, when you did that and you kept doing that, I had to remove myself, right?
Yep.
And that's what you have to do. You got to take yourself out of that situation. And then he bring up the whole tickling thing, and of course, Brittany blows that off. It's nuts. She's just like, it's just me. It's what I do.
Right. Again, but as Ty was right, no accountability. Mm-hmm. And maybe she doesn't know. I mean, she's the intellectual. She should know what accountability means, but doesn't sound like she's taking any of it.
Yeah. Brittany tries to put off the thing that everybody else is seeing and everybody was talking about. Because he said, I had to walk in and hear people talking about you flirting with Cinco. And she's like, well, people just noticed that you and I weren't connecting. So they're just like, who else is she connecting with in the house? And I'm like, wrong show.
No one was worried about that. They're just wondering, why are you not connecting with the guy you're here for? Mm-hmm. Why are you not tickling and talking to him?
Yeah. It's nuts that she just kept trying. And that's where Ty gets on her about there's no accountability, like actually Aubrey Pod says, absolutely no accountability. And in that moment, when they decide to leave, Ty goes in and tells everybody, yo, I'm out.
Yep.
Peace. Right? Brittany, on the other hand, as Miss Sanderson says, Brittany's so annoying. She just walks right by and they're like, hey, Brittany, you're not gonna. Guess not. She does have a convo with Charlie, though. That's her best friend.
Well, she does. But even Charlie says in confessional, I'm sorry, but Brittany don't like that man. It'd be one thing if I was saying they look cute together. No, they don't look good together at all.
Yeah.
You should have said that same thing to Brittany.
Right.
But keep it secret like you do everything else.
By the way, Monica points this out, says Brittany also said physical touch wasn't her love language, yet she touched all the other guys but Ty. Notice that?
But supposedly that was not in a sexual manner. That was just her being her. Yeah, her just being friendly and social. She just touches people. What's the big deal?
And unfriendly to the man that she was there to see.
Yeah, no, I'm not touching him at all.
Why would I do that?
Yeah, why would I touch him? Have you seen these other dudes in here?
Elson says physical touch is Brittany's love language. Touch her feet. That is a good point. Thank you, because you're right. She said she liked it. He said, well, I will massage them.
Well, she likes being pampered and catered to.
Okay.
That's all it is.
There's a difference? Okay.
Yeah, huge difference. She likes being pampered and catered to. So she's the center of attention. Yeah, it's great.
Actually, Aubrey says Ty's going to learn to set boundaries. Well, Ty said he learned to put himself first, and because he's done this before, putting other people before him. Do you think he actually learned?
I don't think so, but I think Ty, you should get some therapy and do some counseling, have a few sessions, and talk through that, because you're 38. You're too old to be doing this with a stranger online. Yeah. You're giving way too much of yourself for someone you've never met in person. Mm-hmm. No, get some therapy, man. Mm-hmm.
And Nodnabark says both Brittany, Kiki, and the first girl that left are huge gaslighters, and they show no accountability. Alicia, remember her?
Yep.
And Irving, yeah.
Yeah.
Almost forgot her name. I actually literally had to go look for it. Absolutely true. So, Taronda shows up to check on the house and the crew and let them know there are only 2 days left. Filler?
100% filler. Her job is to come in. Hey, let you know you got 2 more days, and we need y'all up out of here because we got another set of couples coming on Monday. So
we got the house for 4 weeks.
Yeah, another set of couples coming in on Monday. So 2 days, make a decision, and pack up.
Elson says Taronda in her mosquito net suit. Yeah, that's exactly what it looked like. Hey, appreciate everybody here right now. Do us a favor. Please hit that like button if you're not subscribed. Please subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. Question. Your Navy SEAL team, Jay and Cinco.
Yep. Sniper 7.
Yeah. What'd you think? You know, they do work in tandem well. What do you think of their conversation on relocating to Chicago or Atlanta?
I thought it was an interesting conversation because I think I hit on this. Might have been last episode because we saw this as a preview.
Mm-hmm.
But Cinco has moved around. He's played internationally. He's moved around a bit. Mm-hmm. And so I think that's where the challenge is in this conversation. It's not so much one is more right than the other.
Right.
But Cinco has to understand that she's not used to moving around. When you're a military kid like you and me, moving's no big deal. Right. And I know 4-year-old kids are resilient. They will make new friends. Yeah. Easy. Piece of cake.
Jay, to be fair, number 2, Jay says it's hard because moving her 4-year-old away from his best friends.
Yeah, but I think that what Jay should be saying is it's hard because I don't have people. This is hard for me. Your 4-year-old will be fine. If you dropped your 4-year-old in an Atlanta school, he might get in a fight day 1. But he's gonna make some friends.
It is Atlanta.
It's Atlanta.
But hold on, it's coming from Chicago. He's coming from Chicago.
He
so
might beat a couple kids there. Shot down up in this. But he's gonna make some new friends easily, right?
Okay.
But I think it's more her concern than it is the 4-year-old.
Is it because she did bring this up though? She says her support system is in Chicago. And I'll be honest, I didn't think about support systems until my little one was born, and I realized, because my wife and I had this conversation before, and I know she looked at me and said, okay, this isn't clicking for him. All right, just wait. And immediately I was like, I get it.
Right.
You got to see it in effect, and you go, I get it now.
I got it too, because when she said support system, I'm saying that's the issue, because she has a full support system in Chicago. Mm-hmm. As she said, moving my child across the country, which Illinois to Georgia, it's not across the country. That's a 2-hour direct flight from American. But it's not across country.
Well, but since Atlanta's a Delta hub, but go ahead.
Doesn't matter. But for her to say that her support system's not there, it makes sense, because that means if she moved, she would have to depend on Cinco's support system. And so imagine she moves and Cinco's like, hey, my friend so-and-so can watch your son. She's going to think, I don't know her.
Right.
Or him. They can't watch.
And
my
how
kid.
well do you know her? And why?
Exactly. So, I mean, you just can't. I totally get the support system piece. The other thing that we don't know, and I'm sure Jay and Cinco have had this conversation, is what is the child custody situation with the dad? Is it she can't leave Chicago because of the judge's order on their child support and custody? But I do think if they're going to talk about it, instead of focusing on the 4-year-old making friends, focus on what's the better state income tax that you can get, what's going to be the cost of living, whose job is better, who owns versus who rents, and then what are the schools like? Like, you'll be able to show there's some really good schools in Atlanta. Yep. And this is the part where I live, and the schools are here, and they're ranked the top 3 schools in the state of Georgia. That's a selling point.
There's a joke there. I'm going to leave it alone. I know you'd appreciate it, though. Kay the Canary Diver says if she moved the baby to be with him, she has to use his people. This is what you were saying for babysitting.
Yeah.
If they ever wanted alone time, she doesn't know them like that. So great point. Which
Yeah.
I think this has been coming up quite a bit because Marjan says 4 is resilient, but it's her support system. As a single mom, that's important, especially in a new city and state. And she likes to tweet, says being a single parent and having a support system is super important. Never worth moving for a man without some sort of concrete commitment. I knew somebody was going to bring this up because that is the key part right there. Because even though El Cid says you can build a village anywhere you go, yes. However, that concrete commitment, that's the telling thing, isn't it?
Well, if she moves there, how is that not showing commitment?
I mean, from him is what they're saying.
What would he need to do to make it concrete? Put a ring on it?
That's right. That's come on.
That's
How
what
long
it
have
is?
you been doing these pods? You know exactly.
That's what it
saying.
is. So if he proposes,
You just want them to say it.
then you move. I'm just saying. I think that's great when you're in your 20s.
Yeah.
You know, when you're young. You know that all that stuff makes sense. But they are in a. What are they? 30 and. Yeah, they're in their 30s, early 30s.
Yeah.
You don't have to actually have a ring on it. I get it, but I'm just saying it's not like it's that mandatory.
Miss Senator says you can barely trust family nowadays, let alone strangers. I wouldn't move. And Felicia says, look, Jay and Cinco should have discussed this the second day. Agree?
Well, they probably did, but again, this is a reality show. So they've had this conversation before. This isn't the first time they've talked about it. And so, like, it's not like, hey, we met in person. That shower scene was awesome. Hey, why don't you move to Atlanta?
I got a great shower.
Yeah, my shower is huge. It could fit 3 if you're into that. It could fit 3 people. But you moved to Atlanta. I mean, I'm sure they've had this conversation before, but it's valid things that they need to talk about. And it's not a conversation in the, short. I think they dated 5 months before they met in person. It's not a conversation that, you're going to make that decision to move just after this one meeting here for the next couple weeks. But I think they're having some really good dialogue.
They are, indeed. And by the way, she likes to tweet, says, technically you're single until you are married. So the idea of a mom moving her and her child for a man that she's not married to and has no promise of marriage is wild. And they both, here's the thing, they both can move because they both can just pick up their computer, go to the next state, put it down, open it up, and start to work again.
True, but she's going to pay more state income tax in Georgia than she is in Illinois.
Oh yeah, true. Okay.
So there's that. she's losing out the deal.
Well, Cinco planned a date, were you surprised, like I was, that this was only their second date? Because remember, she planned the first date, which is when they first met on the basketball court.
Yeah.
Were you surprised that this is only their second date?
No, because they didn't need the second date because everything's been going great. Ever since the shower, it's been going great. It's not like the other couples who are like, I don't know. Do I like them? Do I not like them? Do I want to touch them? Do I not want to touch? They worked all that out. So they've just been chilling and been great these last few weeks.
So are you saying that after you GTD, you don't need to go on the dates anymore?
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying that I think the level of effort is going to adjust just a bit. The more you sleep with the person, the less effort. Look at people who've been married for 10, 15 years. How many of their husbands are like every Saturday, what am I going to do for her? Where are we going to go? I need to plan a date night. No, they're good.
What'd you think of that date, though?
I thought it was dope because I would love to do that. I think what I liked about it, if you think about scents, I like wearing a lot of colognes. Yeah. Not at the same time, but I have a lot of colognes, a lot of options. But I would love to have like my scent. You know what I mean? I think that's what's cool about this is you can develop your scent that's different than anything that you get at Macy's or whatever. So I thought it was a good date. And did you notice how Cinco knows Jay? Yeah. Like he knows what she's into in the short amount of time they've been talking.
He's paid attention.
He's paid attention to all that stuff, which says a lot about their relationship.
Well, it means that he likes her because if he didn't like her, he wouldn't have paid attention to anything. We remember the things we want to remember.
Exactly.
Right? Plain and simple. Again, the living arrangements conversation comes up. Jay says you can't dismiss her son's feelings just because he's a kid, right? Agreed?
I mean, no, I don't agree with that. I'm sorry. I grew up in an era where I didn't have feelings at 4. I did whatever I was told, and I packed up and went to wherever I had to go. There was no choice. So I don't understand, but it's a different world. I don't have kids, so obviously I can't speak on this topic.
Yeah.
But all I'm saying is, no, I don't agree. I think 4-year-olds are resilient. You can move, they will be fine. They will not. If your 4-year-old is like maybe special needs and you have to have certain types of things that are consistent for them to feel comfortable, I would get that. If that's not the case, though, I don't agree with what she said.
Right. And I do like how they kind of wrap this up, though, because they go, hey, look, we don't have to move right away. And even Jay's like, yeah, because we're leaving here together. We're just trying to talk about moving forward, which is at least they have this understanding. We're leaving here together. We're going to have this conversation at some point, but we do need to talk about it. And we do need to keep talking about it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Something that did pop up here. I want to find this one because it just says, "Oh, yeah."
I'm hoping it's.
Kay the Canary Diamond says, "Truth is, they need to visit each other's homes a few times and see how each other lives before even thinking of moving for each other." It's a lot of each other's there. Whew.
Well, but I think they're going to. I don't think Jay and Cinco's mindset is okay. As soon as these cameras start rolling, who's packing luggage? Like, I'm sure they're gonna wind up doing that and see what makes the most sense. If Jay is in a studio apartment and doesn't have a pot to piss in and window throw it out of, and I'm sorry, not Jay. If Cinco is in a studio apartment in Atlanta, doesn't have a pot to piss in or window throw it out of, it makes no sense for Jay and her kid to move to Atlanta. But if he has a nice 3-bedroom, 2.5 bath that he owns, and she's in a 1-bedroom apartment with a 4-year-old, you're coming up.
By the way, Elson has a point. Says, Cinco, don't end the date on a contentious topic, right? Because again, this topic came back up. Agreed. I mean, I don't think they ended the date there. I think the date didn't end until they both decided to close their eyes. So
I think the producers told him, "Hey, so while Tizzy is over making y'all sense, tell me more about who's gonna move where. Go."
And action.
And action. Yeah.
Yeah. This was good though. Right? And I think it's good that they can have this conversation, and it feels like there's some sort of there's the final decision yet, but they get there.
Yeah, but they're not gonna get there. They don't have to make a final decision on where they're moving in next week's episode. Like, that's not what it's about.
By the way, this was Elson says this episode is sponsored by American and Delta.
I just did a little research to see what the flight situation is.
Of course you did.
Because when she said across country, I'm thinking it's not California to New York. That's across country.
Yeah.
Illinois to Georgia, that's 2-hour direct flight.
Which one? American or Delta?
I looked up on American, so I'd assume Delta would be the same.
Yeah. Well, Chicago is Chicago is a hub too. Yeah.
So it'd be American. 2 hours. I can't imagine Delta's an hour and American Airlines is 2 hours. Direct from Chicago. They're gonna go slower. You're on American. We go the speed limit. Sorry.
We on Spirit. You ain't standing. You ain't got a seat. You got to stand up.
Yeah, but Spirit, hold on.
Not the Mark says Frontier also. Look, please don't bring up Frontier. Frontier got me a couple years ago, right? They had this deal. Hey, the summer deal. You pay this, and then each flight is only. I took that flight one way, the other way, and never again. They got me for the money because I was never getting back on that flight again. Never.
That bad, huh?
Oh man, no.
I've never flown Frontier. I've never flown Frontier, so I don't know.
Do it.
I did Spirit once, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't great either. But there was no fights or anything, so that didn't happen. This was early in the Spirit days when they first started. But other than that, I've not done Frontier.
Only when you're not hearing any problems with the planes, or maybe they're just not telling us. By the way, Elson says Frontier is this generation's AirTran. I remember AirTran. We did a whole promotion with AirTran where I took 8 women to Connecticut to go see Kanye and was it Kanye and Usher? I believe so. Yeah. Hell of a show. Great promotion. Back when promotions were great. Yeah. Hey, appreciate everybody who is in here right now, whether you're part of the live crew or you're watching this later as part of the replay gang. Please do us a favor. hit that like button. And if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. And thank you to all of the regulars, a.k.a. the members. Remember, you too can be one of the regulars for just a little less than $3 a month. We appreciate it. You want to support the channel, like the content? We appreciate you because you're the reason why we do this, to be quite honest. Because I'd never get told to watch reality TV any other way.
No, you wouldn't. Not at all. Especially not these shows.
But you like it. Tell the truth.
No.
Okay. Charlie and Jared, not a whole lot with these two, right? But I thought it was very important that we at least bring this point up because I think we're going to get more. We had enough of it last time. We're going to get a little bit more next time. But Jared tells Charlie that he doesn't listen to anyone's advice, right?
Yeah.
And then she's like, not even me?
He's like, well, for the most part, I listen to what you had to say.
Then Charlie has a discussion with us. Tells us that, she's finally realizing what everybody else knows, which is Jared is a smooth-ass talker and telling her what she wants to hear.
Okay.
Oh, boy.
Finally realizing that.
Stop it.
I'm just saying, finally realizing that if you look at the other baby daddies, where they're not smooth talkers, you're finally realizing he's just saying the right things. And Jared, it's so interesting because I'm watching this and I think to myself, there's no way Jared's leaving and still in a relationship with Charlie. I just think he's done. He got what he wanted and he's done. But to me, the sad part is Charlie is just realizing this. Like, you should have realized that year one when y'all were talking on the phone and you decided to lie about children. You should have talked about back then.
The bad thing is, because he knew about the one child, she had two more at the time they started talking.
Right.
That's the bad part about it.
100%.
They were
100%.
3 and 1?
Yeah. But try to make it seem like, oh, well, he lied about a baby and I lied about 3, so we're even.
Well, with that kind of logic, it's only right to move on to Kiki and Brandon because there's a lot more of this same crazy logic happening in this next discussion, right? Because Kiki's such a liar, man. Because when they're like, oh, yeah, you got people coming over, and Cinco's like, let us know if there's going to be some ish tonight. And Kiki says, well, shouldn't be, knowing she's got a secret.
Yeah. Kiki's a mess. Like, she is a complete mess. She's someone else that needs some therapy.
Yeah.
And needs to figure out her stuff, because for her to think that what she's about to drop is no big deal, that you were in a relationship with someone for 8 years and 50% of that time you were in an emotional relationship with someone else. Yes. It wasn't physical, but emotional, which is worse.
Yes.
Right? It's worse. And so you make it seem that's no big deal and then expect him not to be bothered by this?
Well, let's get to it, because before they even get to the point of her telling him, Maya shows up, right? Kiki's best friend. And did you notice that Maya's fast ass, first thing she asked is, hey, who's coming for Brandon? Oh, his brother. Oh, younger or older? And Kiki just went right over here. She's like, why?
No, Kiki knew. She smirked. She knew exactly what she was talking about. And yeah, no.
Well, Brandon's brother shows up, Christian.
Yep.
He shows up, compliments Alexis, who opens the door, and then immediately pisses her off after that.
He came in pretty weird, like, hi, I'm Christian. Oh, you smell good, by the way. All right, where my brother at? Just started walking the house. It seemed weird. And to me, Christian, and I hope they're really brothers. Brandon, if you listen, I'd love to hear you in the comments. I thought Christian was an actor the whole time. I was like, this guy's an actor. There's no way. This is just the way he's acting. It just seemed a little performative.
Elson said Christian gave Alexis more action than Chris does.
True.
Yep. Now, here's the thing. There's a lot to cover here, right? Let's cover it by the topics. Let's start with the drinking, because Kiki fills in Maya with what I would like to call a little added spice and a few exaggerations as to Brandon not liking her drinking. Agreed?
Yeah, she really watered it down. Not her drinking, but the story. She watered that whole thing down to make it seem like he just out the blue brings up this drinking. Like, I have a drinking problem. Girl, can you believe it?
Right.
Without telling any more context to that.
Right. Yeah, because there's some very important parts she left out, which I'm sure Maya knows because they remember her. If this is the same best friend she talked about, that we finished off a whole bottle, which she did bring back up again, the bottle
Right.
thing, and you forgot
Right.
you already told us about that. All
Right.
Well, Brandon and Christian are talking about the drinking, and then Brandon kind of fills us in on the family history with drinking.
Right. So he fills us in that story as he's talking to Christian. And as he's talking to Christian, and then for Christian to say, you know what, that's a good point. Because you did have to step up and do that. And I can see where that would be a lot. This isn't the first time y'all have had this conversation.
Right.
If Brandon met Christian when he was 5, and now he's 29. This isn't the first time y'all have had this conversation. So it just seemed very fake to me. But if it's legit, hey, great. Good combo. Thanks for sharing. But it just seemed fake.
When they get together, Kiki says everybody in the house drinks every single day because it's like vacation. And then she turns to her lying ass best friend and says, lie for me again. Tell them I don't drink every day.
She said, well, she really doesn't drink that much. Yes, she does. Come on. She likes the sauce. This is not just vacation. Now, Kiki has a good point when she says, look, this is like vacation here. If you were to go on a cruise, are you going to drink?
That analogy got you to turn around, didn't it?
Yeah, I was like, well, that's valid because I've been on a cruise. We drank every day. Now, the difference is, did I get hammered on the cruise? No. Was I falling out of chairs on the cruise like Kiki's done in the house? No. So that's the difference.
Okay. Like Gabrielle says, this ain't vacation. And this is why I said the cruise analogy was perfect for Kiki.
Right.
The best move you made since episode 1 was using that cruise analogy because you turned everybody else around. Because early on in the season, what do we say? This ain't a vacation. This to meet the person you think is the love of your life. This ain't vacation. Right, Gabrielle? So you're absolutely right. That's what we thought until she brought up the cruise thing. And then it made sense.
Right.
Okay. The other thing that happens there, though, Christian does, because Maya kind of tries to call out Brandon and say, well, you drink too. And he's like, to my limit.
To my limit. Yeah. Brandon's not falling off a chair. We've not seen Brandon sloppy drunk at all this whole season. Have we seen Kiki? Yes.
Yes. And that was fun for nobody.
Right.
Christian does kind of take their side though and go, hey, you need to relax on this whole thing when it comes to the drinking because you're basically on a cruise. You just never left the port.
Fair. I think that was a fair assessment by Christian to say that. Makes sense.
So, next thing that we get to really talk about subject-wise with this foursome is the ex, right? And before they all get together, Kiki tells Maya that she hasn't told Brandon about her ex, and she hopes that when she reveals her secret, he will have one too. What kind of logic is this?
Kiki logic makes no sense. It makes no sense at all.
It makes no sense to
that
you.
If I tell him my secret, hopefully he'll have one, and then we'll be even.
It makes no sense to you, but Maya.
It makes no sense to anybody who heard that.
No, it made sense to Maya. I get it.
Well, they're best friends because here's the thing. Well, but Maya's judgment to me is suspect because she knew that Kiki was in an 8-year relationship, and for half of that, she's been talking to Brandon. Maya's known all that. She didn't find that out today. She's known all that, and she was good with it. So that tells me Maya's decision making is suspect. So I wouldn't trust anything that came out of Maya's mouth. Yeah.
So I like how, a lot of people say Christian may have been a little bit over the top. I like it because he brought everything out right there. Hey, look, so I know one thing y'all need to work on is communication because, Brandon went to Atlanta to meet you 4 times and you flaked on him. Yeah, that's it, 4 times. And flaked on him. And then Kiki had the nerve to say, well, that's a bit excessive.
I'll admit, when Christian said that, that's when my attention turned to Brandon, and I was like, dude, you a fool.
Yeah.
After, I might give you one time that I drive up to Atlanta and you don't see me and you ghost me. I might give you a second. That's it, though. After 2 times, I'm moving on.
One time, it's over.
Yeah,
You,
I
you
might
gonna
give you a
two.
second.
Not,
I might give you a second. It just depends on the reason. But after that, you did that 2 more times. No, that's on you at this point.
Let me tell you something. I had somebody flake on me one time. I'd been seeing this person for a long time, not just virtually like these two. That one time was all it took. There's no
I'm
way
just saying.
it would have been 4 times he never met her. You kidding me?
You ghost me locally? No, no shot, no shot. But again, they've been talking for a while. I'm just trying to give people the benefit of the doubt to say, okay, first time something could have came up last minute. I was already on the road, always here. Your phone was dead for 3 hours, and you couldn't call me to tell me you got to change plans.
Right.
But you do it to me twice. After that, that's on brand.
So this is when Kiki finally decides to tell Brandon that she was living with her ex up until earlier that year, right? And she tries to justify it by saying, well, we broke up and there's no contact.
How does that's the thing that makes Kiki delusional. How do you say all that and be like, oh, well, we broke up. We don't talk anymore. So it's all good. No.
You think that's what makes her delusional? Because here's the thing. Christian then questions, well, how long were y'all together? She says 8 years. And when he reacts, Kiki then goes on the offensive and says Brandon he had to be talking to somebody else in that 4 years.
Well, I have questions about that. Because now, is it possible that Brandon met somebody online and he thought this is it, this is the one, and no one else is of interest to him, and he only focused on Kiki for 4 years? Is it possible? Yes.
Possible.
Could I have done it? No.
No.
I'd have been doing other things, and then when we get together, okay, great, let me see, but I'm not going to stop doing what I'm doing. But maybe Brandon is built different, but I do have some questions. Maybe he didn't sleep with somebody, but
there are other things.
Other things? little top off, little something, little mic check.
Thoughts of an outspoken diva says Kiki was a clay level liar without the household gossip. Indeed, because here's the thing. Maya then asked Brandon how he feels about hearing this. He says, what I think is the right thing. It's a deal breaker.
Done. I go pack my stuff, tell everybody, hey guys, I'm leaving with my brother. Christian, save me a seat in the car.
This is where I say Kiki lets us know how delusional she really is, because then she tells us that she regrets telling Brandon the secret and thought he would just say, well, this sucks, and move past it, right?
Right.
And now she says that she should have just kept it to herself.
Either that or she's dated a lot of simps. She's just used to dating simps.
By the way, Lucy B says Brandon is the bigger liar to claim he went 4 years without sex. Now, I got to question this part. Even if he did have sex, he didn't have the other things that people had, but which is what Kiki had. And we'll get to that in a little bit too, because, I see what you're saying. Most people are calling BS on this, and we'll see that in a little bit too. But I think when you get to this whole delusional part, Maya, Christian, and Kiki, they're all delusional because they all say, well, I feel there's a discussion to be had. I think we can work past this.
No.
Exactly.
There's no working past this.
No.
We're done.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. Wish you all best of luck in your future endeavors. We're done.
Hey, look, Kiki has been with Brandon for the last 4 years. We wish her the best in her future endeavors.
Right.
That's what it should have been. Now, here's the thing. Did you know? Tell me if you noticed this. Kiki's walking Maya out, right? Because after they have this delusional moment of, we can talk about it, it's time for them to leave. As they're walking out, Kiki's telling Maya that Brandon has a tendency to play Mr. Perfect, Mr. Nice Guy, but nobody's perfect.
No, you're not perfect. And people around you are not perfect. So you're used to that, right? If you're used to being around lowlifes, then that's who you are. So, Kiki, take that for what you will. I'm sorry.
What'd you think when Maya told Brandon to do my friend right? I'm coming back.
Brandon's nice, because I'd have been like, no. you tell your friend to do me right because you knew for 4 years that she had a relationship with a man that she lived with and that she was talking to me. So don't expect me to jump through hurdles to do her right. You talk to your girl.
Well, speaking of talking to the girl, Brandon goes and has a conversation with Alexis, right? He fills her in on what happened, and the first thing Alexis does is ask, so, in 4 years, you never slept with anybody? Again.
He might not have. He might not have. He might not have slept with someone. Like fell asleep. He might not have had intercourse with someone. But there's other things that he might be able to do to tie, to just tighten him up, just to get him through the next. Just saying, there are other things.
Here's my problem. What is wrong with everybody in this sense? Because there's a difference in sleeping with somebody, even if he did or didn't, and living with and being in a relationship with someone. Isn't there?
There is a difference, but the thing is, he said the last person he slept with was before he met Kiki. So he's proclaiming that he's not had intercourse for 4 years. And Alexis, like all of us, were looking at the TV going, for real?
It's interesting because then after this, Kiki goes in to tell the rest of the group in the kitchen, right? Now, she gives what I like to call the Disney version of her telling of the actual secret, because they're like, "What secret?" And she gives them the Disney version, and that gets everyone on her side.
Well, 100%, because the story she told Cinco and everybody was crap. Because Cinco and them were saying, "Well, wait a minute, how long ago did you break up with this person?" Well, at the beginning of the year. Oh, that ain't that big a deal. It's not like you're about to tell us you had a baby a month ago. Talking about Charlie. But her version of the story, was bad.
Yeah, it really was. And then here's the thing that gets me, because she does a diary cam and tells us that she's taking full accountability, which tells me that she has no idea what that means. Right?
Yeah. No. Unless full accountability is some type of prescription that she's on.
Stop it.
It's not accountability to what we know by Webster's definition. She's not doing that. Sorry, Kiki. You're lying.
And then proves that the next morning, right? Because she's in the kitchen, and she's like, "Hey, I get the initial shock, but let's move it along." Like, yo, there is no just easy way to just brush past it. She's upset because she had to sleep alone. You're lucky you got to sleep in the house. That man should have done you like women have done men all the time. You go on the couch.
Well, this is the first time she slept alone in 8 years.
Touche. Cinco tried to rationalize everything and try to make her understand why Brandon was upset. Do you agree with what he said? What do you feel about his explanation here?
I thought it made sense what he was trying to say. He's trying to help her understand that Brandon was under the impression you lived alone by yourself. You weren't living with the dude. So to find out for 4 years of y'all's relationship, you've been living with another man, that's a big deal. What's crazy to me is that Cinco wasted his time telling Kiki this, because she's not. It's not going to compute for her. It's not going to make it.
No, it's not. It definitely isn't, because her and Brandon go to sit down outside, right? Well, not outside, but inside and eat, just away from everybody else, but still within earshot when the volume goes up.
Right.
And Kiki tells Brandon that since they weren't seeing each other, there was no need to tell him or shake the table, as she says, and that there was no perfect time to tell him.
Yeah, the perfect time was in the very beginning. Like, hey, look, you cute. I like your IG, but I got a man. It's a little bumpy, but if you still want to keep talking, great. That's the perfect time to tell him, because you have nothing to lose. Yeah. If he says, "Hey, no, my bad, no disrespect, I didn't mean to slide in your DMs, I wish y'all the best of luck," great, she can still be with her man.
Right. But no, she didn't like that man anymore. What she did, but she didn't. And okay, we'll get to that too. I liked how Brenda did call her out, though, for the game. Remember the game?
Yep.
Where it was like, is it ever okay to have secrets in a relationship? they both said no.
Right.
How do you think? How would you rate Kiki's response to explaining why she said no in that game, even though it was an obvious lie?
Yeah, on a scale of 1 to 5, I'd give it 0 for crap. It's crap.
She said, well, it wasn't a secret. I was just withholding information.
I was just withholding information. It wasn't a secret. I was just withholding information. See, again, Kiki is delusional. She is, girl, get some therapy. You need to get it together. Because
she told us many times it was a secret.
Out there.
She told everybody it was a secret.
Well, but I think that was the theme of the season. That's what production told everybody. It's a secret. Everybody had secrets. But to tell someone, hey, I didn't keep a secret. Mm-hmm. I just withheld some information. No.
Right.
Sorry.
Now, here's the thing that gets me. Because Kiki is lying to us, telling us that she doesn't talk to her ex and has no desire to talk to her ex. We saw the producer footage. Remember that? Remember that scene?
Yeah.
Where the producer says, "Are you still in love with your ex?" And she's like, "And I want to ask me that." Side note: this is where they should have run that clip again.
Would that have made a difference though? Because whether she likes her ex, they were together 8 years, so there's something. But whether she still likes him or not, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
If he's left her, they're gone. She's in her home right now.
Go back.
She's still the terrible person.
Remember what she said? She doesn't want to lose another comfort person because she lost her mom, she lost her ex, and now she doesn't want to lose. I always tell people this: don't stay in a relationship because you're comfortable. It's the worst thing to do. You'll regret it later, and you'll regret all those years you give up. That's a terrible thing to say.
It is terrible that if that's your purpose, if this is comfortable and I don't want to lose this, that means you need therapy. You need to work on yourself. There's some opportunities that's in your head that you need to get fixed because Kiki is a problem. And if she doesn't realize she's a problem and her friends aren't telling her,
right?
That's the problem is when you have friends that just enable you to do this.
Yep.
Maya, you're a problem too because you should have been like, hey, girl, you got a man. If you don't like him, end that before you start something else because it's not right.
Mm-hmm.
Because what had happened to Maya? How would Maya like it if we knew that the guy that she's with also is with someone else and didn't tell her?
Oh, it would be a problem. It would definitely be a problem. It's the same thing. But here's the thing: we know there's no accountability with them. There's with Kiki or with Maya. We see this, right?
Right.
But then Kiki goes, "Well, you have 83 deal breakers." To Brandon. He's like, I don't have 83 deal breakers. Well, she goes, well, you're doing the 3-strike rule. We're adults. Yes.
You're adults. You're adults. And what you did was some big strikes. Sorry. You must not watch baseball. But yeah, you did some big strikes. That's not minor. I lied to you for 4 years. Yeah. That's minor?
Yeah.
That's not a big deal. That's not a strike. Please.
That's nut. Then she goes into on the offensive again, making up stuff about what Brandon does and does not do. And she doesn't know if he likes her or not.
Yeah, he's there. He's been talking to you for 4 years. And he's there. That's her deflecting, trying to take all the smoke off of her and try to cast some negative stuff on Brandon, which I don't think that's going to stick. And I like how Brandon handled himself because he was like, what are you talking about? Like, I mean, you don't know if I like you or not. Remember, he was trying to be affectionate with her and she didn't want it. Mm-hmm. She didn't want to be touched. Mm-hmm. She didn't want to be kissed and all that stuff. That girl's she's a mess. Yeah.
As she's going off, Brandon's like, all right, so what do you want to do? You want to end this right here?
That's funny. She's like, this conversation? She's no, all of it. And then here's what's funny. She's like, over breakfast?
You did yourselves no favors in that scene, that line right there, Kiki. It can't be that he stopped you from eating breakfast because he didn't touch his food, but you were eating the whole time, talking with food in your mouth and all. So, yes, over breakfast. There's always a perfect time. Now is the perfect time. Plain and simple.
No one's ever stopped Kiki from eating.
Stop it.
What?
Stop it.
If it was a guy, I'd say the same thing.
She likes to tweet, says, can we start a petition now to not ever do the show again on the pod? I'm exhausted. Let me go in the bush and weep.
Remember when I was like, I don't want to do this again? But then other stuff was coming up. He's like, we can do this. I was like, let's go back to Never Ever.
Yeah, because you said you'd never do this again.
I did.
You also said
Because
you'd
of
never
this.
do. You also said you would never do. What was that? Ready to Love, and then
Yeah.
sure enough, we're right back there. 90 Day Fiance will make you come back to anything you don't want to do.
No, not doing 90 Day Fiance.
Yep. Elson says, no, keep doing this, please. We are here for it. A couple of things that popped up here that I did see as well, too. Let's see. Travel Love says maybe Brandon was preserving his essence or whatever KG Smooth was said on Ready to Love. When he was withholding, so he was preserving.
Oh, I remember that. Yeah.
Hilarious. Also, let's see. Nikki says, Brandon is just trying to keep the upper hand. I'm not mad at it. Keep the lie alive. See, Nikki, that's a problem. But you could be in Kiki and Maya's friend group, that's for sure.
Ugh. Yeah, man, that's an amazing group of people to hang out with.
Well, if you're saying keep the lie alive, I mean, it's fine when the lie's on your side.
Right.
It's when you're on the other side of the lie that all of a sudden, no, you want that lie to be exposed, right? Yeah, you got to be careful what you ask for in that sense. And let's see, a couple of things here. Oh, yeah, no, we've already covered that, just and all that. I would just want to point this out, though. The one last thing, because there was a lot of talk about accountability on this entire episode from Brittany and Kiki and the lack of accountability.
Yep.
And apparently none of them looked up the word and what it means, an obligation or willingness to accept responsibility or to account for one's actions, which none of them are doing.
Right.
This is a problem.
Well, I hope that people, when they go through these reality shows, we have fun making fun of these shows and making fun of the people on the shows. And bless their hearts, they're making themselves vulnerable, putting themselves out there for our entertainment. But I hope they watch these things back. Not so much our podcast, but they should do that too. But watch it back and realize you need some therapy. And especially in the Black community, we don't go to a lot of therapy. But there's some folks that need to lay on the couch and talk to somebody about their shit. Because these people are crazy.
Is that your medical analysis, sir?
So I'm sorry. These people have some issues they've not dealt with.
Okay, thank you.
Is that better?
Jeez. And they also need a friend like you and a friend like me.
No, I don't want to be friends with them.
I'm not friends with people like them. I'm just saying they need a friend like you.
Yeah. No,
a friend like me. I'm not offering you up.
Okay, good. I was about to say,
definitely not offering me up.
You lie about your kids? No, we can't be friends. You're in a relationship with someone else? We can't be friends.
Yeah, all these things are bad. But you know what? This is what makes great television, because when you have these good relationships, everybody goes, oh, it's so boring. It's so boring. So, and by the way, shout out to Miss Senator, member for a month. Congratulations.
One of the first subscribers, one of the first members.
Yep. So appreciate you. Remember, you too can be a member, be one of the regulars for just a little less than $3 a month. Show your support for the channel. We do appreciate it. Definitely. Hey, do us a favor too. We're here at the end. Hit that like button on your way out. All right. If you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications. I am Yanni Rude.
And I'm Just Terrell.
Make sure you follow us at Yanni Rude, at Just Terrell, and at the RGRT Pod.
Yeah, send us some of your random thoughts, some of the bullshit on the internet. We'll talk about it on the show.
Hey, thank you, Miss Senator. Thank you for that super chat. Definitely greatly appreciate it. It's the Regular Guys with Random Thoughts podcast. Cheers.
Cheers.